He's one of the best directors working in the United Kingdom, and in his 60s and 70s, he's still going strong. It's the great director Mike Leigh. Let's talk about why you should watch him and what his best movies are coming up next. If you don't know him, Mike Leigh is a great, still working director from England. For those people who like the great Japanese director Ozu or Jean Renoir, if you like unpredictable plots and several complex characters interacting all at once in a movie, you're going to like Mike Leigh's movies. They're very realistic. They usually concern themselves with class dynamics within England. What I'm going to do in this video is go through his top 5 movies according to me. Totally subjective list, and you can mix up these 5 movies in any order. I wouldn't care what order they're in. But I will give you recommendations on what to watch, what to start with, and what other Mike Leigh movies you might watch if you like any of the top 5. And for each movie, I'll also be presenting a theme that pops up in some, if not almost all, of Mike Leigh's work if you were to watch all of his movies. He's a really interesting auteur because he works very closely with his actors to develop the characters, and although he's got a bare-bones script when he starts the filming process, he and his actors collaborate to develop the script as they're making the movie. This results in movies that don't ever really feel like you know where they're going as you watch them. So let's start with my number 5 movie, which depicts that very thing. It's a 2004 drama, Vera Drake.
Hello, Reg.
Afternoon, Mrs. Drake.
You all right, dear?
Can't complain.
Going off for your tea?
Yes.
What you having?
Bit of bread and dripping.
That all?
Vera Drake is one of the 4 period pieces that Mike Leigh has made over his career. And this one's set in the 1950s after World War II. Everybody's poor or somewhat poor. They're still rationing in England at this time. The movie concerns itself with an English housewife who is going on the side to help women, poorer women, have miscarriages. This is a time in history, obviously, where they didn't have social workers and where abortion was illegal in England. Now, she's kept this side gig from her family. She does it for no money. She thinks she's doing a charitable act for these women, but her family, of course, doesn't know it. And so this movie has 2 parts to it. The first part is Vera Drake going about her daily life while also helping these women have miscarriages on the side. The second half of the movie, and this is no spoiler alert, is when she gets arrested and has to face a criminal trial. The movie concerns itself with, a would-be social worker and is very sympathetic to the Vera Drake character. However, I watch this movie in a different way. I find that she is illusioned or delusional in the first half of the movie and disillusioned in the second half. And one of the things that gets Vera Drake in trouble is that she goes to commit the miscarriages or help the women with their miscarriages, and then she tells them to wait a day for her lime water treatment to work. The miscarriage is going to happen a day later, and then she just leaves them be. Her language in the first half of the movie does not ever really commit to the actual truth of what she's doing. And so at one point, a woman ends up in the hospital because of Vera Drake's homegrown procedure. She's trying to help women out, and yet she's not. This is a great movie if you want to think about deeper issues about social work, helping women who are pregnant. And then, of course, when family members find out that Vera Drake is doing this on the side, they have different reactions to her. This movie paints a very nice, homely family life in England for these people in the first half of the movie, and then things change radically when Vera Drake is arrested. If you like Vera Drake, I'd also recommend the 2002 Mike Leigh movie All or Nothing. Both of these movies are about working class people in England and the troubles they face. Also, that working class people, according to Mike Leigh, are relatively smart. There are a lot of would-be working class philosophers in Mike Leigh movie, including in this movie All or Nothing, which stars the great Timothy Spall as a taxi cab driver who's very philosophically inclined. So as we go here, the working class in England will be the major, or at least one of the major themes that show up in Mike Leigh's work. Number 4 movie is the one I suggest a lot of you start with, especially if you're looking for a lighter work. This is the 2008 movie Happy Go Lucky, and it stars Sally Hawkins, who has a great performance here as a Pollyanna figure. She wants to be happy all the time, even delusionally so. She's trying to give happiness to other people. She's a grade school teacher, so she's sort of stuck in a kid's world bubble, as it were.
Hello, Scott.
Are you Poppy?
That's me. Nice to meet you.
Right, the car's just here.
They're not infected. What do you like? They're clean. They're just washed them specially. Honest. Who's it then?
You get in the passenger seat.
You know it's me that's learning to drive, don't you?
Yeah, but we've got to talk a few things through first.
Oh, have we? Fair enough.
She's 30 years old, she's single. This is another Mike Leigh theme that shows up in his movies. People are transitioning from being a teenager or college student to becoming an adult in the world, and either they can't quite transition all the way, or they're struggling to really figure out who they are in their early 30s or late 20s. And Mike Leigh focuses a lot on female characters. In fact, they tend to dominate his work, and he hires great English actresses who do great work in all of his movies. Vera Drake is one of those with Imelda Staunton. Here, Happy Go Lucky with Sally Hawkins. You can really enjoy complex female characters in all of Mike Leigh's work. The movie I'd pair with Happy Go Lucky is its exact opposite, and some people say this is Mike Leigh's best work. It's the 1993 drama Naked. This is a movie about a very disturbed young man who's also wickedly intelligent, and he has lots of philosophical conversations with different people he meets throughout this movie. As opposed to Happy Go Lucky, in which the Sally Hawkins character is trying to give life and joy and happiness to all the grumpy people she meets, Naked is basically the opposite of that, where a very philosophically inclined yet disturbed man is trying to, give people the sour cynicism that he feels in their lives. And these are two kind of characters that Mike Leigh, likes to work with or has his actors develop as they develop their script or their movie that they're shooting. The disturbed young person who can't quite or doesn't want to become an adult all the way and be dutiful and responsible. And then the sort of too happy, too delusional person who has to interact with the rest of the world and all its terrible problems.
It's funny being inside, isn't it? Because when you are inside, you're still actually outside, aren't you? And then you can say when you're outside, you're inside because you're always inside your head. Do you follow that?
Yes, sometimes when I'm sitting here, I turn the lights off, sit in the dark. That always makes me feel like I'm sitting outside.
My number 3 Mike Leigh movie is what a lot of people would put at number 1 as well. It's the 1996 drama Secrets and Lies. And here you get a theme that shows up in a lot of Mike Leigh's work. Within families, you might have one character who's middle class and doing pretty well, economically speaking, and then you might have another member of the family who's lower class, working class. And when those two different classes of people interact within the family, what kind of dynamics are going to happen? What kind of problems arise? That's what happens in Secrets and Lies when a black woman finds out, she's in her late 20s, that her mother is actually a white, lower working class woman. She finds out who her actual birth mother is in this movie. And the rest of this white woman's family find out as well. Now, Americans watching this might think this is going to be a movie about racial tensions, differences between races. It's not at all. It almost completely dismisses that. Mike Leigh is very focused on differences between classes, and that's exactly what you're going to get in Secrets and Lies.
This is stupid. I don't understand it. I mean, I can't be your mother, can I?
Why not?
Well, look at me.
What?
Listen, I don't mean nothing by it, darling, but I ain't never been with a black man in my life. No disrespect nor nothing.
My number 2 movie is another period piece, and I think Mike Leigh really actually likes English history. I think he likes England, period, even though he's concerned with class problems and political problems throughout his work. This is the 2014 biopic, Mr. Turner. And it's about the great English painter Turner, here played wonderfully again by Timothy Spall.
Good day to you, sir.
And a very good day to you, Mrs. D.
And how do we find you on this fair morning?
Exceedingly preoccupied, madam.
Was ever thus? You've always been preoccupied. You're too preoccupied for your own good, sir.
Nothing comes from nothing, madam.
And we have had nothing from you, sir.
You see this English artist, warts and all. He's a genius, he's a grump, he does terrible things, he does great things. Now, Mike Leigh in recent years has been doing period work with the most recent movie, 2018's Peterloo. But also the movie I'd pair with Mr. Turner is another about English artists. It's Topsy-Turvy, which feature the British operatist Gilbert and Sullivan. I find Topsy-Turvy to be too much of an insider work. I think you need to know Gilbert and Sullivan pretty well in order to understand this movie or appreciate it, really like it. It's not the case with Mr. Turner, and so that's why I go with this at number 2, and that's why I would recommend it to just about anybody.
Now, had Sullivan lodged his complaint at an earlier date, that might have been a different matter.
I made my complaint the moment you presented me with the libretto.
The point being that I was unable to present you with the libretto until you returned from your grand tour of Europe.
Well, that is neither here nor there.
No, Sullivan, indeed. I was here and you were there. Ha!
Now, my number one movie is my favorite, of course, and I think it's one of the best movies of the 2010s. It's such a complex work. It has half a dozen or more great, rich characters, and you could watch this movie maybe 100 different ways, siding with each character differently in different ways as you watch it. It's a 2010 drama and sort of a comedy, Another Year. Now, the titles of Mike Leigh are really good. They seem simple, but after you watch the movies, they end up being pretty profound. In this case, this movie shows an entire year in the life of a husband and wife and their friends and family. And you see the year broken up into 4 parts, spring, summer, fall, and then it ends with winter. And the question in this movie is, why does it depict things in that order, with winter, as you might expect, being the bleakest of the 4 sections? As well, why is it another year? Does this indicate that the years go by and they actually degrade over time? I think this movie starts well and doesn't end so well. It depicts the friendship of a working class woman who's an alcoholic, actually, with this upper middle class couple who are older and they have adult children.
I haven't seen you since Christmas, Tom.
Really?
Oh, it's just the 3 of us tonight.
Yes.
Oh, I'm surprised.
I did tell you.
Did you?
We wanted you all to ourselves, Mary.
Oh, thank you, Tom. That's what all the boys say.
Friendship is wonderful, but at times strained, and the question is, can our friends ever be like our family to us? I watched this movie with a group that studied it, and a lot of people sided with the couple, the English couple, who are hospitable and generous. It's a wonderful portrait of married life between 2 people who've been married for a long time. But other people in my group sided with the outsiders to the family, who were, at times treated well, but at times, kind of brushed off. And questions about who we are and who we belong to, and can friends ever become like our family? All kinds of great questions come up here in this movie, which for Americans, by the way, won't seem like it's about class, but you gotta watch it carefully. It really is. I pair Another Year with another earlier Mike Leigh movie, sort of his international breakout, 1990 comedy, Life is Sweet. And this one is great because it depicts inter-family tensions between teenagers, older teenage girls, and their more bubbly parents.
Look, don't leave the towels on the bathroom floor stinking wet.
Here we go.
Well, how many times have I got to tell you? It's just 2 simple little movements. Down and up. And pop it on the towel rail.
Don't be patronising.
And I won't tell you again about using my cotton wool balls.
Oh, don't be so selfish.
What do you want 2 baths a day for anyway?
What, are you taking their side now?
I'm not taking anyone's side. I'm just asking you a simple question.
Yeah, well, don't.
You can't go wrong with any of these movies. Mike Leigh, for most, if not all of his characters, wants to say some of us have a little bit of good, but some evil, and nobody is perfect, and all these rich, complex characters, you can side with them, but you can see their flaws. Mike Leigh is considered to be a humanist. To me, that just means he honors individual humans and all their complexity, as I've said several times. Whether they're male and female, whether they're of any class, whether they're white or black, he wants to treat these people, these characters, as unique individuals who deserve to be loved or cared for. Right, a lot of people have criticized me on YouTube for disliking the 2019 drama comedy Parasite. They've asked me, okay, what movies do you recommend if you don't like Parasite so much? I think Parasite's a fine movie. I don't think it's the greatest movie ever made, but really, Mike Leigh movies have similar concerns as Parasite, and yet they don't use stereotypes like Parasite does. Have you seen any Mike Leigh movies? What do you think about them? What's your top 5 list? I'm really interested in your views on this video and Mike Leigh movies. Oh, please subscribe to my channel to support it. I really appreciate it. Thank you and have a great day.